Hi guys, this is Miss Howell. We're going to move on to Chapter 5, which is Muscle Histology and Physiology. And this is only a few pages, pages 125 to 128. And when you come to class, I want you to have your completed study guide with you. We're going to work through this diagram and the kind of vocabulary terms that go with this, and that's about as far as we'll get today. Remember, as you follow along with me, fill in the blanks on your study guide with the terms that you'll see in red, and pay close attention to anything that you see marked with a star, because those are things that I've highlighted for you for your upcoming test. All right, here's some prefixes that might make it easy for you to learn some of these terms. So if you'll remember these prefixes, it'll help some of this other stuff make more sense. Myo refers to muscle. Sarco means meat or flesh. Endo means within. Epi means outer or the outside. And peri means surrounding or all the way around. All right, so in this chapter we learned that there are four major functional characteristics of muscle tissue. Contractility is the ability to contract or shorten a muscle forcefully. Excitability means it can be stimulated by nerves and hormones. Extensibility, which means under normal circumstances the muscle can be stretched without damage. And elasticity, when the muscles are extended beyond their normal length, they can recoil back to their original length without damage. Muscles perform three basic tasks for you. The first one is movement, which enables us to get up and move around, walk from one place to another, lift a spoon to your mouth, any type of movement, blinking your eyes, shrugging your shoulders. Your muscles allow you to do that. Also posture. Your muscles enable you to maintain an upright position, or if you hold your arm out, an outstretched position is maintained. Also heat, the third thing. Your muscles are responsible for generating heat by allowing you to move around, and shivering. That shivering that you do when you're cold is rapid contraction of muscles that helps to create heat to keep your body warm. All right, there are three kinds of muscle tissue. The first one is skeletal. Skeletal muscle is striated, which kind of means striped. You'll see the lines in the muscle. We'll talk about that in a little bit. It's also voluntary muscle, meaning that we can control the muscle movement. And also these skeletal muscles are multinucleate, which means they have more than one nucleus in the cells, which is very odd, and it's only in this type of cell. Also smooth muscle is another kind of muscle tissue. Smooth muscle is involuntary, it is non-striated, and its purpose is to help your organs do their job. So like the muscle that surrounds your stomach is a smooth muscle. You can't control the churning of your stomach during digestion. It happens involuntarily. And the third type of muscle tissue is cardiac muscle, and as you can probably guess, that's only found in the heart. It is also a striated muscle. It has single nucleus instead of multi, and cardiac muscle, thankfully, is involuntary. You can't actually do anything to force your heart to beat faster or slower other than as a result of exercise or rest. All right, so let's move on to muscle structure. A muscle is attached to the bone by a tendon, which is a strap of dense regular connective tissue. We'll talk a little bit more about what makes a tendon in a minute. The belly of the muscle is composed of the actual muscle cells. The whole muscle is divided into bundles of cells that are called fascicles. Fascicles. Each muscle cell is called a fiber because it is a long, thin cell. All right, so those cell bundles called fascicles, well, let's talk a little bit more about all of that. Each fiber is wrapped, each muscle fiber is wrapped in a thin layer of collagen, and that inner layer is called endomysium. Okay, remember I told you about the prefixes you need to know. So each fiber internally is wrapped with the endomysium. Then each fascicle is further wrapped in another layer called the perimysium. And beyond that, these fascicles, as groups, are also wrapped together in another layer of collagen, which is called the epimysium. And the epimysium is sometimes also called fascia. And it's the epimysium that differentiates one muscle from another. And if you notice, there's a big red star by that diagram. So you guys need to get really, really comfortable with being able to identify all the parts of that diagram. Collagen fibers, which make up the endomysium, extend past the muscle belly. They straighten out to form the dense, regular connective tissue of the tendon. The collagen of the tendon continues into the bone, and it actually becomes part of the bone itself. So let me go back to that previous picture and point that out to you. Let's see if my cursor. So the tendon here, this white area on the diagram, is actually made up of the endomysium. Okay, so see this term here. They wrap around each individual fiber and they extend the entire length of the muscle cell. So every single muscle fiber is wrapped in an endomysium, and then those are grouped together as they exit the distant end of this muscle cell and form the tendon, which then moves this collagen fiber directly into, and it kind of blends into the bone. And remember, collagen is also inside bone, so they blend together to form that very tight, secure structure. All right, moving on. Moving your skeleton takes a lot of energy. There are many blood vessels in muscle tissue that provide nutrients to the muscle. It also brings oxygen and removes waste. Muscle fibers contain a lot of mitochondria as well. Why do you think that you need a lot of mitochondria in your muscles? Do you remember that mitochondria are called the powerhouse of the cell? Did you learn that in your last biology class? Well, the mitochondria are involved in cellular respiration, and they provide energy for muscles to work, for all cells to work. And next week, we're going to talk more about how the mitochondria produce energy for the cell as the powerhouse. Muscle tissues also contain many nerves. Muscles can't move unless they receive a stimulation by a nerve cell. So we're going to learn about nerves after we finish this unit on muscles, and then you'll understand more about how the nerves cause muscles to move. Multiple nuclei are located on the edges of the cell if we're talking about skeletal muscles, remember, because skeletal muscles are multinucleate. Multiple nuclei are located on the edge of the cell just under the sarcolemma, which is the plasma membrane of the muscle fiber. So I know you just love that scientists have to get confusing, and even though we're talking about a cell, the muscle fiber is just a muscle cell, and cells are surrounded by plasma membrane or cell membrane. Well, they wanted to rename it something different just to be confusing. So sarco, remember, means meat or flesh. It's muscle movement. So this electric signal through the nerve impulse that we're going to learn about later has to move down the muscle fibers to cause muscles to contract and relax, to cause this movement. And T-tubules are what form the pits or the holes in the cells to allow these stimulation, this to go through. The sarcoplasmic reticulum surrounds regions that are packed with myofibrils. These are thread-like structures that extend from one side of the fiber all the way to the other. These are protein molecules. We'll talk more about them next week. They're structured in repeating units that are called sarcomeres. And this repeating structure of sarcomeres is what causes striations, or that stripe that you can see in the muscle fiber of the skeletal muscle. Each unit of myofibril contains two types of filaments. We have actin filaments and myosin filaments. And I know that's a mouthful. We went through a lot of terminology. We're not going to go any deeper